And good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome on into the Dragon's Den. My name is Digital Dragon, otherwise known as Luke, and I'm a 3D print variety streamer here on Twitch. So, how's everybody doing this evening? Nick, welcome in. My Light, welcome in. How's everybody's day going so far? Mine's been lot of meetings. I guess it's everybody trying to cram everything in right before the holidays, so it's just kind of crazy. Hope everybody's doing well. Good, good. Glad to hear it, Nick. Hey, Chris, how's it going? Just driving home? Well, be safe, my dude. Be safe. And thanks for reaching out to me earlier. I didn't see if there was any other comments. Nope, no more. Good. Yeah, definitely. Um, so me and Chris were chatting this afternoon. He's trying to get some last minute things done for the shipping stuff so he can get that sent to me and get it going to get that machine up to Free Heathen. Oh, well, thanks, Monlight. So there's a new Cisco cybersecurity ad out there. Good. I really don't watch that much TV, so I get to see them whenever we do so it's weird. We do WebEx, but then when we do some internal stuff, we'll do Cisco TV, and we'll get to see previews or possibly all the current ads running while we're doing that. Uh oh. Hey, Royal Nomi in BC, welcome on in. Thank you for a raid with a party of 16. Wow, Numeric, welcome on in. Ramon, welcome in. Westery, raid, sister. Pez Liz, welcome on in, everybody. Yeah, you made it. And hey, Westery, hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. And you too, Royal Nomi, thank you so much for the raid. That is so awesome. I appreciate that so much. So we're just getting started out here. You're going to send the files off for the Rook 2020 and mods. Oh yeah, definitely. Send me whichever files you want because I know I've had the base files, but they released new ones since I did my build. So I can definitely always go and grab the latest and greatest Rook 2020. I think it's the Mark 1 mods now, but I don't know what other mods you want that I can add on to that for you. Definitely send those, not a problem. Yeah, doing great, Ramon. I keep seeing that. Like, do you want to see a flex? There's not much there to flex right now. Um, I had to stream to raid just since we are different day. Oh, that's true. You are on an off day, aren't you, Royal Nomi? Gotcha. Stephen Poole, welcome on in, my friend. Creatix Brit, welcome. Now, Brit, I gotta ask: is it 9 p.m. Eastern time that you're starting your show with VanOaks props? Hey Dan, MakerMind Nexus, how are you doing? 9 p.m. Okay, great. That is going to be my target. In fact, Alexa, set an alarm for 9 p.m. Thank you. Because I definitely want to jump over to Brit's stream tonight because she has Derek from VanOaks props on, and the guy does amazing work. So I really want to look in and see that this evening. All right, my light, not a problem. And I may have a couple to suggest as well. So awesome. So with that, we've been working on our salad fork, which is basically a Honey I Shrunk the Trident type printer for ants mods. And I did a couple of things off stream, nothing major, and I'll show you what I did. Let me switch the screen and, oh, by the way, everybody, we did get a cup of coffee started. This is the only coffee I have right now, so we're going to make this last until Mrs. Dragon gets home. She is on her way back from a Dunkin' run. Get the Dunkin' runs again. So, Thank you for shouting out BC Royal Nomi Modlight. And if you can, do a shout out for Createx Brit as well. Oh, you already did. Sorry. Thank you. Layer by layer, welcome on in. Welcome on in. Yeah, you called it. I was going to have coffee, huh? And I was going to get a Dunkin' run. Yep, we're going to have a Dunkin' run today. Awesome. And thank you for shouting out Pez Liz as well. So a couple of things that I did. If you guys remember, we had put an extra, whoops, here we go. I'll put it this way. We had put an extra nut over on this side because originally we were thinking we were going to put our Nevermore over on this side. It's not going to fit. Looking at the spacing, there's no way it's going to fit. So I loosened these screws, this screw, and these screws, lifted the vertical up and pulled that screw out, brought the vertical back down, made sure everything is retightened back in place. Did the same thing over here and put that screw on, or the nut on this side. And that's going to be the bottom securing nut for the for our Nevermore. We're going to have our Nevermore over on this side. The other thing that I went ahead and did partially before I did that was you'll see that we do have our vertical and horizontal tie-ins right here. I did do these off stream. And let's just say there was a little bit of 4-letter word usage. It's kind of hard. You can't really tell, but there is a, let me rotate this forward a bit. There is a little shim piece that goes between this bar and these pieces here. That shim piece, the little piece that aligns it in the groove was ever so slightly too wide. So I had to sit there and keep filing it down until I finally got it right. Those are the only two things that I did. No, I take it back. Those are the only two things that are on the printer right now that I did. The rest was a little bit of, well, let me rephrase that. I rotated the motors so that both of the motors, the wires are going towards the outer edge because the wires are going to come straight down and there's cutouts at the back panel. There will be cutouts at the back panel that these wires can drop down under the deck to. So I just rotated both of these and made sure they were right. It's a lot easier to do that before you put the belts on. So there we go. You think you got everybody shouted out? Awesome. Thanks, Modlight. Appreciate it. So with that, and where we left off on the last stream, don't worry about the rock here. It's literally because of the little slight swoop in the, you know, we're good. Where we left off the last time, let me see if I can, yes. So browser window. Hey, Bonnet, K DaVinci, welcome on in. Thank you for being here. And let me fix. Yeah. Alrighty. Window. Right, because we're on PDF Saturday with Chewy's build. There we go. Awesome, Modlight. Great. Once you get that started, definitely let us know and we'll definitely send people your way. Yeah, well, it literally is like built over bot. Look, right? We're rock solid right now, right? If I move this cattywampus where it's closer to the ends, right? So right here, it has wiggle room. That tells me the outer edges are a little bit higher than the inner is because right now we're rock solid. It's got to be the table's got a slight swoop to it, which is why I've been looking for an offcut to be able to use. I just haven't found the right one yet. I don't think I have a bang gamble. I think it's just bang slots. to try bang slots. And thanks for being here, Built Over Bot. I know I haven't seen you in a little while. And for those of you that came over in the raid from Royal Nomian BC, if you could do me a favor, down on the bottom, bottom left of your screen is my icon. If you can click on my icon twice, that will bring you over into my stream. And the reason I say that is because as I'm seeing the chat window, everybody that came over from the raid has a outline around them. And it just catches my eye. I'll say it's a little bit distracting, and it doesn't count you in my numbers until you kind of join my stream. So what you're seeing here is the idlers. This is where we left off with our A and B motors in the back. Now we're going to start working on the front idlers. However, we've got the pen mod because the pen mod came with the kit. So Bob's been causing trouble. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it, Westery. And so we've got our pen mod pieces here. Okay. And it's really neat because this piece mounts on either side. And the only difference between the two is one has it on the bottom, one has the cutout on the top. And you go, well, how do you know? Well, a little bit faint, but there's the B, there's the A. You match the A side with the A side, the B side with the B side. So this side, the idler is going to be down. This side, the idler is going to be up. And we'll start by mounting these pieces, okay? And then we're going to have the idler piece. This is the same idler piece, and you'll notice it's got a hole at the top. That's for the pen to go through, and there's no hole at the bottom. So we'll start the pen in. We'll do our bearing stack until the pen's all the way in. We're going to add a heat set at the top and bottom, and this whole piece is going to go in and be able to slide in and out for our tensioning on two screws that are going to go in through the front. You'll notice I've press fit the magnets in here already, and we'll have pretty little front covers that have the magnets already pressed into them and the holes for the socket heads. It's just going to cover everything nicely, and you're going to wind up with a look like this. So I think it's going to be pretty nice. We'll go ahead and we'll get these started, and then we do need to use our stealth press over here, and we'll press in our heat set inserts in just 1 second. Give me 1 second, folks. So we will have snacks for later while we're watching Brit stream. Get some of the sugar off here that I just felt or just dropped. Yum. Dunkin'. Okay. So we've got two we'll just move things around for a bit here. We've got two screws at the top two nuts at the top on each side, two at the bottom. So I'm going to get these spaced out, get the top ones done. We'll flip the machine over, then do the bottom ones. And that'll be a little bit easier for us to work with. And at this point, I will say, when you're moving or flipping the machine up and down, front and back, you want to flip it front and back. Do not flip it side to side, because these screws up here are captive. There's bolts here that are going to keep them from going out. The two nuts that are right here, they can slip out the sides, and then you're going to have tweezers and a hard time trying to get them back into the sides. So ask me how I know. And the answer is because I've dropped them through there already once. So all I'm going to do is make sure I got the B side, which I do. The opening is going to be towards the front. And all I'm going to do is try and align my M3 nuts. And we'll get these aligned at the top, and then at the bottom, we'll be doing a little bit of shaking and stuff to move the nuts around. And what I'm going to be looking at is the actual, this is the Please mod, I think. No, Ramalamas. It kind of shows the original idlers and then these. So we're basically following this as our guideline for how to put these together. And yeah, I'm gonna just guess that we're gonna use the M3x8 since that's pretty much what we've used to mount everything else in here. So I'll get a few of these out. And by a few, I mean 4, so I can do the top portion. And I'm not going to have room to get my big, my normal drivers in here. So I am going to need to use my ball end drivers here. I probably need to get a little bit better quality ball end drivers at some point. Oh. And from the feeling of that, no, it seemed to get. Nope. I thought it was catching, but it's not. So we're going to have to go not with M3x8s, but M3x10s on these. Ah, yes, Miss Dragon is back and she is saving the day. However, the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, she's back out and on another trip. So we get Mrs. Dragon to help us for a little bit. Now, with that being said, I have gone ahead and booked my hotel room for Rocky Mountain Rep Fest. They do have corporate discounts code out there now, so you can use those. And I would suggest booking them early before those reserved rooms book out, if you can. I'm probably going to have a maker's table. I'm not going to be able to sponsor anything because I think most of those are already taken. And if anything, I will get a maker table and have a little bit there because I believe Miss Dragon's going to drive out ahead, and then I will fly out. And I'm going to fly out partly because I'm time limited at the altitude, and partly because I will be driving a moving van back. I'm going to be staying right across the street at the Embassy Suites. Give me a second and I will definitely confirm for you. But I think it's the hotel right across the street. Yeah, the Embassy Suites by Hilton. That's right across the street from the venue. So you can basically get up in the morning and walk across. You just submitted payment for gold sponsorship. Sweet. Yeah, so I'm going to try and have a few things there, Chris, because Mrs. Dragon's going to drive the Kia Soul out. And if for whatever reason I'm not able to secure a table for myself, I will make sure to have a KB3D shirt and just camp out at your table. But for those of you that are interested, Miss Dragon will be in the area, and she made a comment that she might be coming at, or she might be present at the venue. So if you're interested in meeting Mrs. Dragon, the one that lets me share all my time with you, they'll be there. We just went into an ad break, but this is the rear, this is the front. We're going to rotate it this way. Once again, we don't want to lose these nuts out the side. And now we need to get our nuts, I'll say, slid a little bit back so that we can work with them. All right, Chris. Yeah, I figured as much. Yeah, it's going to be a big show this year. I know that they're getting both sides of the venue, so they're going to have like 36,000 square feet of venue space. I had a feeling that was it. This one I didn't get lined up all the way properly, but the rear one is. So we're going to lock this one in place. That way it's just a matter of getting the front one moved either forward or backward a bit. Now, Royal Nomi, are you and BC going to be able to drive up for the show this year? Yeah, so the issue is, Nick, that her mom just moved. This is what she was out there for this last trip. Well, partly what she was out there for this last trip. Her mom moved, and she wants to bring home the daybed for our spare bedroom and get rid of the extra, I think, queen size bed that we have in there. So we're going to need to bring that back in a moving van. And then the nice thing is that also means that I should have ample space, because the smallest van I'll be able to get is like what, the 10-footer. So I should have ample space for any projects that I'm going to bring home, or maybe just clear somebody out of Filament. So I've already had 5 of the 13 spools that I ordered come in. So there's going to be, the rest of them will come in later this week. It's just they're coming in from different Amazon warehouses. So sometimes they get here in a day. Sometimes it's a day or two. Just depends. Hey, Evil Diesel, how's it going? The day's going well. It's been kind of with meetings, but such is life. The life of a supervisor. So I was telling everybody just before you came on that I did book the hotel for Rocky Mountain Rep Rat Fest already. and I'm at the Embassy Suites by Hilton, or I should say we are at the Embassy Suites by Hilton, which is right across from the venue, so we can get up in the morning and walk straight across. Here's the other thing I need to do. While I've got the printer upside down, I need to rotate this 180 degrees. I want these cables coming out on this side because the power inlet's going to be on this side, I believe. And it'll be easier to do that now when I don't have the bed and everything else on here. So yeah, that's one of the things I was thinking. Mod Light, I got to check and see what that drive will be looking like. And I was going to reach out to you about that. Yeah, I got you, Roll Nomi. Mrs. Dragon and her mom were just down in New Orleans for a conference, and it was crazy because while they were down there, it was the LSU Alabama game was going on, and then the next day the New Orleans Saints game was in town. So it was just stupid crazy down there. Oh yeah, Evil Diesel. I hear you, my friend. I hear you. Yeah, so I need to swap this around. See, were these button heads or yeah, those button heads, I think. Double check real fast. Nope. Pocket head. 6 1/2 dozen the other. Whether you lay it down on its one of its front or back or upside down like this. Um, all right, Monlight. Yeah, like I said, I just got to see what route we're going. Um, there we go. Yeah, we need a festival in Kentucky. If only there was somebody that had a lot of land and maybe a barn or something. RV and go. All right. I was trying to just do it with it in that position, but I apparently can't seem to find the hole on this last one. First, then I drop that. And once again, I just need to turn this, but it looks like there we go. And once again, this is all about just making it easier and keeping my motor wiring away from the mains power wiring, what I'm trying to do, right? So by doing it this way, my inlet should be on this side if I remembered everything. If not, I will just be doing this again. And all of my motor wiring will be going away from the mains powers, the AC mains. And so what that's going to do is put all of my mains on one side and all of my DC voltages on the other. Exactly. Exactly. Oh, we're going on another road trip? Alrighty. All right. Now, it- Yeah, and I know we're already talking about Rocky Mountain Rep Rap Fest, but like I said, they've opened up the sponsor tables already. Means the maker tables will be coming soon, and we've got the holidays, and then after that, it just gets crazy. This one, I'm just not getting the right angle on, so we'll fix that. Hey Chris, I know you had to step away, but if you're in earshot, when are you stocking the Wira uh, hex keys? I might need one soon. All right, that pain's done. Now, next up, once again rotating front to back, we're going to need to do our heat set inserts into these. So I'll put this out of the way real fast. Grab the heat set inserts, which are still in here, or let's pull those out. Oh, right here. Your desk chair fell apart with you in it. That's not good. So you kind of need a new desk chair, huh? I'm going to plug this in and let this warm up a bit. And then I'm going to smack myself for not doing this when I had the opportunity. There's one other thing that we've forgotten about that we were waiting on, and that was our bottom panel that we still need to put underneath here. Let's do that while our iron heats up, which is kind of funny because the iron heats up in about 2 seconds. More of just me scrolling today. Thank Chris for getting these cut and to me as quickly as he did. Well as getting the heated bed for the Chewy build to me as quickly as you did, because again, we thought I was waiting on it from Chewy, and he started looking and he decided that he wanted a KB bed instead of the one he had. He goes, I took it out, I was looking at it, and then I just threw it back in the pile. And And yes, we are keeping our theme going with white acrylic. So the Orangeberry Creamsicle is still moving right along. Oh, and folks, there is not going to be a stream this Saturday. I will reiterate that on Thursday's stream as well. Mrs. Dragon's season has passed, and we will be going up to Baltimore for the services. So just wanted to let you guys know that there will not be a stream on Saturday because I'm not going to be in town. Yeah, IKEA is it's more cardboard and melamine. Yeah, churros or Mexican donuts. We can do that. So we've got our piece over here, which is where our chain is going to be coming in from our bed. And that's the cutout right here for our chain. So that's how this gets laid in there. And I'm going to start by laying it in here at the back, or I'm sorry, at the front. And we'll bring it down here and it'll lay in just like that. We have to go in the front because of the two side pieces. And it just pops in there just nicely. There's a little bit of play to it. No big deal. And we are going to have some panel clips that will go in there. And there's going to be 8 of them, 2 on each side. And the part has a square or like a squared edge and then a rounded edge. That rounded edge is the part that you want to rotate around on. So we'll put that in there and we'll just rotate it around. And I say that like it's going to be 100% easy. But once again, we'll stick it in there and then we'll just rotate it. Normally I can get this most of the way by hand and then I just use a pair of pliers for the last bit if I need to. And all we're doing really here is pressing it between these clips and the lips around the edge so that it holds in place. Oh, I know. Zombie. I'll be printing some Micron parts soon myself. But that kit says it should get here next week. I'm not going to hold my breath, but it may. We'll say it's on the slow boat from China, but we may get it here before then. There we go. Yeah, and it's the same thing like doing this build because this is a 160 size build. There's a 120 and a 160 size build, and yeah, the parts feel like they're so incredibly small. Okay, I think all of those are in. And once again, we will rotate this across the front and back axis so that we don't lose the only two nuts that can run away, which are going side to side there. And I will set this down on the ground so you can see me use the stealth press. Unlike some people we know, like I think his name is Chris, who builds a stealth press and then doesn't use it. You got those TS100s in yet? So we're going to use our stealth press. It'll be pretty close to the part. That's what we're trying to do right there. Oh, and we're in an ad break. And I promise you, I am going to get a third camera on here, and we're going to be able to do some different views here soon. We will probably work on that during the holidays. When I have a little bit more time to worry about things like that. Hey, Pete, how are you doing, my friend? I'll have to do a shout out here in a second. By shout out, I mean verbally go through and say hi to everybody that's in chat. Okay, so we got those two, and I'm just going to go ahead and unplug this for the time being. Probably set it down here where it's out of the way until it's not. Shenanigans, welcome in. Westery1, my sister from another mister, Britt. You're going to put yours together on Thursday? Okay, Britt. So definitely we'll go over and watch you put yours together. And I think Nero was going to do his tomorrow. And I think he had a catastrophic failure on one of his Revos that destroyed an obsidian nozzle and the heater. So I think that's actually going to be on his stream tomorrow, is repairing all that. Yeah, the stealth press is nice, and yours came out well. Yours is using the limited edition purple that Brusa had, right? Oh yeah, Britt. When I saw him post on, because he was going to be building the stealth press tomorrow, and I think he's pushing that off to fix the machine that really borked on him when that broke. And I'm not sure they're calling out for size of screw that I can't see. M3 by oh. All right, I'm gonna have to blow this up. Like I said, this is M3 by 10 at the top, which we're not using. Then these are M3 by 30s with two M3 shim. Okay. So those would be M3 by 30 socket head cap screws. Apparently those weren't the settings. Those there. And I may not have those in the kit, but I should have some of my own. Once again, this is part of the pen mod, so I've got the pens. What I don't have is probably the stuff for this, so that's no big deal. We'll get these. And I need to build my bearing stack, so we'll need bearings and the pen. Yeah, funny, not funny, but I mean, yeah, I know Zombie does have some printers that are in pieces, but he does have a couple that print, like his, don't like to let fancy filament sit. Oh, yeah, I got you there. So we're going to need a couple of our pens. And we're down to all the same size pens, so I just need 2 of these. Now give me 4, which will be the 4 that we'll use for the y-axis. And this is going to be a little bit hard to show, but we're going to start the pen in the hole. And then we're going to have to build the bearing stack in here. And I'm not going to have any easy way of showing this. Well, I guess let's see if I can't get you guys in here a little closer without knocking you over. A little bit closer as I go in here and start to build this bearing stack. So we're going to need to put an M3 washer on there. M3 washer. And then a bearing flange side down. Push our pin through some. Bearing flange side up. And then we need to get another washer shoved in there, which doesn't look like there's enough room for it, so this ought to be fun. And I'm probably going to do this off of the camera just because it's going to be fun. Okay. This might not be able to take 2 washers, or at least not the 2 types of washers that I have. Yeah, because that's pushing the bearing out. I mean, it does feel like it's pretty tight in there with just one of my shims in there. So that's what I'm going to go with. That's what I'm going to go with. I mean, I don't have much in the way of options here. Grab our other pin. Start to come in from the top. We're going to do one washer, if I can get it to move. We got one washer there. Flange down. And up a little bit. Flange facing up. Push the pin the rest of the way in. Well, it bottoms out, it sticks out a little bit. That should be fine. We got plenty of room in there. It does clear the hole, so we're not going to hit it with the screw. Okay. And then what we're going to do is each one of these, the Salad Fork logo is going to go up. So we're just going to slide that in. And we'll slide this one in the other side. And for now, I'm just going to put those in. And I'm just going to set the caps on them. I didn't want to put the screws down on them because I have a feeling it's going to be easier to push these out when I go to run the belt than it will be to try and get the belt through here with these still in place. So that's going to be my thought. We're going to put these to the side just for a minute or two, along with the screws that we'll use for that. We'll get these cleaned up. And I'll figure out where I'm at in the grand scheme of things. I believe we're going to have to do our X gantry next. So we've done our idlers. Pop this back down. This way. So we've done our idlers. Attached our idlers. Attached the rear Z brackets and miscellaneous parts. Okay, that would be these pieces back here that I did. Okay, and you might be able to see a little bit easier. There's a little shim piece that's in there. I did that off stream, and that would be where the blood came from. So she did draw blood on me. Follow some of the chat here. I've been remiss. You need to head to the den to use it when you get back. You mean the Dragon's Den? You need to use one of the printers here, Evil Diesel? Not a problem. Right. Yeah, we try not to let fancy filaments sit out. Yeah, that Rook 2020 you had on your desk the other night, Zombie, I didn't think that looked like it was complete. If it may be functionally working, but the wiring looked like something threw up on the back of it. You got 4 Pi 4 and Pi 5 mod light. Nice. Yeah, you go through a Tradeport Direct for a lot of them, right, Zombie? Because that's who I normally go through when I'm grabbing some. It needs a gantry. You stole it for a new build. Yeah. Yeah, Tradeport does well, and there's another one that I've gotten some stuff from. Okay, I think I'm caught up on chat, so let's see. What else do we have? We need to install the umbilical mount. Not that one. That one? Yes, this is the umbilical mount. And this is just going to give you a place to secure your wires. I'm going to move you guys back up here. Yeah. And this is the other two nuts that we had at the top here. We'll kind of spread these out. Close enough. And we're going to use M36s. It says to center it, but you may wish to shift it to the right. We'll see. We'll go ahead and center it for now, and later on we'll take a look at where we want to put it. Okay, that said M3x6, but okay, well maybe it'll work. I was going to say that's not going to work, but it just wasn't all the way down into the hole. Yeah, that's the nice thing with Tradeport Direct is if you play the, we'll say the eBay game, right, and can snipe a auction, you can get those Ender 3s for pretty cheap. And even if it's a Gen 1, like an OG Ender 3, if you get it for 30-40 bucks and it's got the original Meanwell, you're in, dude. I mean, that's nothing wrong with that. Now there's a Bowden mount that goes up here, and that's going to hold your reverse Bowden tube. And I honestly may not have printed that out because I was like, ooh, Bowden mount, why would I need that? But let me double, quadruple, triple check this. I might have right there. The majority of these parts would be the original parts if I was using the screws and not the pen mod. So that's the majority of the parts here. So I'll have a bunch of gantry parts that I can use if something ever happens, because this pen mod, these are lightweight aluminum pens. So it may, I don't know if it'll hold up or not, but I'm going to flip this upside down because I have a feeling that trying to do these nuts upside, or, you know, coming from the bottom up is not going to be very fun. And the flat side here will go to the back because it's going to line up with a hole in the back plate. Let me make sure this is coming. Add the bud mount to the bottom of the top rear extrusion, also centered. So it should look just like this, where these two parts are centered right along this line here. So we're just going to kind of line it up and get it started. This one over into spot. And that's tightened on there. So we're good to go there. Let's see what's up next. Oh, and that's the end of this section. So that's the XY motion. So next up is going to be the gantry. And there's the build looking so far. We're going to set this down just for a moment as we come over here and work on our gantry. I am going to find one of my just because I know I'm going to use this just to keep from dropping things. And I'll even move you down here some. Get you a little bit closer to the action. All right, Evil Diesel, try and get some rest. And yeah, try and get some rest. And we'll chat some later. I may need you to come over when we're out of town anyhow and bring a box inside. So I'll make sure you have a key if you need to do anything here in the Dragon Den. Okay, so we're going to need the extrusion labeled D. Well, there's only one extrusion left, so that better be D. We're going to need our MGN rail. We're going to need our backer plate because we're using this instead of the printed versions. We're going to need 6 M3 by 6 button head screws and 6 M3 nuts. We won't need the nuts because that's what our backer's for. And we will just take this and slide it into the extrusion. I'm not going to worry too much about getting it lined up just yet. We're going to take our rail and set it on top. I'm going to line it up with the holes. We're looking for M3 by 6 button head. Using the M3 nuts and the 6 button heads, add the MGN 9C rail, leaving about 15 millimeters from the end. We're using button heads for these. I've always used socket heads. Because we're metal to metal to metal, we are going to put a little bit of Loctite on these to make sure their rail doesn't come loose under any loads that we subject it to. Get it going, back it off just a little bit so we can get the rest in there. We'll figure out our side to side measurement. They're going into every other hole. Yeah, most of the stuff you get on Tradeport, it's gonna say that it's for parts only, that they haven't, it's not fully tested. Basically, they just connect the power and to the board and make sure that it turns on. And that's about it. And they may have some parts missing here or there, but I've got plenty of spare screws and spare parts for an ender or a Creality machine, period. So, outside of like maybe the M5 bolts to mount the uprights, that's probably about the only thing I don't have. Actually, I probably have a couple of those now too. We'll keep with our thing here. We need, was it 15 millimeters from the end? Turn it on, zero it out. Get our 15 millimeter dimension. Trying to do this on this, so you guys can see it. Here we go. 15. So once again, we're just going to take the tail and butt it up there and push it over until the base hits. I should be able to do that at the other side. Half a millimeter. So there we go. And we'll need our larger, because this is an MGN9, so we'll need our larger alignment pieces. And then we'll go through and crank these down. Once again, we'll snug them up from the center out. No ugga-duggas yet, just snugging them all down. We come back with a little bit of force. You know, it's funny, we do these builds and we're talking about like, oh, ugga duggas, and you kind of get used to just feeling how well to tighten these up. I was reading the manual for the Annex Engineering K3, and they're actually listing out torque values. And I'm like, torque values, huh? I don't know about you, but I'm not going to put a torque wrench on my hexes. But you never know. Maybe. No wonder you can't find your calipers. I have. Yeah, that could be. All right, my light, no worries. I'm assuming you're sending them to me via Discord. Okay, so we've got this now. We're going to start our X and Y joints. And once again, we'll deviate a little bit because we're going to do the pin mod for these. We'll set this over here, get our joint pieces that we'll need. We'll need our remaining 4 pins. Need our the last 8 of our bearings. And I do tend to keep my little baggies for now because it really helps in sorting out parts down the road or if you're shipping anything to anybody. So just a heads up. So it looks like we do need to put in some heat set inserts, so we will need to do that. I need some of those washers as well. Let me get these out of the way. Let me get the self press back up here. Plug her in. Get her warming up. And we're going to need to try and figure out which one we've got. I think we're looking at this one. We need to put in our heat sets right here and right here. So I'll go ahead and do those. We're going to do that over here on the stealth press. Sent the wrong files. It's for the Rook Mark 1. Yeah, no, you need the Rook 2020, but I think they did do a Mark 1 version of the 2020 since I did my build. Gotcha, Kit Skyfire. Yep, need a drink. Yep, gotcha. Strong one, please. Yeah, Chris. Okay. So once again, we're going to put in 2 each on our pieces here. This really does a good job at setting these heat sets, by the way. Even though my hand's in the way. We need to adapt a nozzle cam to the stealth press. Just for money shot. Okay, so we got both of those in. And once again, which one are we looking at? Can't rightfully tell just yet. I guess no, we're going to be doing this one. Okay. So it says that it's probably easier to build on the top, but that's because you're not using a pin mod. So we just need to grab our pins. There's only 2 holes right here that are not through holes. So one there, one there. And so we're doing individual bearing stacks on these. So Mod, can you do me a favor and figure out what the commands are to give points to everybody? Like literally just give everybody like, 5,000 points to play with. So we're just setting these bearing stacks together. And I think we've been through the bearing stack scenario a lot. So it's shim, bearing, bearing, shim. And there we go. And then we just have to figure out which one of these is the one we're going to be using. We're going to say it's that one. And then going to go on there in that orientation. We're just going to try and get it lined up and press it down on there. And then we're going to use 2 M3 by 35s to secure this together. Give it the little squish deal. Uh-oh. That sucks shenanigans. Get those down there. We burn ourselves on our stealth press because we didn't get it out of the way. That's going to leave a mark. Then we're just going to tighten these up Again, we're going into the heat sets that we just put in there. And we're just going till they're snug. I don't want to clamp this down just yet because we need to get these on our bars. So once again, you can look through here and you can see through these 3 holes. So you're going to put your pins in the 2 holes that you can't see through, and that makes your captive pins. So once again, we're going to start with a shim or washer, our bearing flange side down, bearing flange side up, another shim, and then our other piece. And we're just looking where these are the 2 holes down here, this one and this one, which are going to be on the pins. We'll just line it up. Press them down on there. 2 more of our M5 or M3 by 35s. Two more of our M3 by 35s. There we go. Then we're just going to snug these up. Okay. Now we'll grab the rest of our M3 washers and get them out of here before we dump them all over the place. Modified sidewall. Oh yeah, I saw that and I was like, what the hell is all up on this? We have to be given permissions within Stream Elements. 0 points and is rank 1. Let me look at Stream Elements real fast. Or not. And no, we'll worry about that later. I'll try and get it squared away. Raffles you should be able to do, yes. But I thought you should be able to do add points or yeah, I think it's add points should work. I don't know. So I thought it looked like it did it. And you should have permissions, but yeah, I'll take a look at that. Well, hell, let me try it. Add points all 5,000. Oh, so that successfully worked. I'll have to look at that command and make sure that the mods are allowed to run that command, Chris. I don't know why it didn't do it, but give me 1 second. Apparently drinking coffee heats up There you go. Things work. Okay. Where are we at here? We've done the left, we've done the right joint. Now we're going to attach them to um, our rail. And once again, on these DFH rails, I didn't notice this before. Let me see if I can get it. There we go. You've got DFH, and then you've got the letters underneath. It tells you what rail it is. But funny enough, this says 9C 210 millimeters Z1. Z1 is your whatchamacallit, your tension. But yeah, apparently they do tell you what the size and everything on these rails. I didn't notice that before, but I did notice it in another stream that I was watching. So come back down here. We're gonna need our left joint, our right joint, and the joints are gonna go like this because it mounts underneath. So we're gonna come up from the bottom. So this would be your right, this would be your left, and we're gonna mount it so that if you're facing the printer, you can read the words just for no other reason than because. And we're gonna need to make sure that we've got some nuts in here. So we're going to use 2 M3x8 button head cap screws, 2 M3 nuts to attach the left side to the de-extrusion through the top. Do not tighten fully at this point. And we need a total of 6. So 3 on each side, 2 on the top and 1 on the bottom. Let's get some nuts in there. Two on the top, 1 on the bottom. Slide these on each side. This is why I say to leave these a little loose so you can get them on there. There we go. We'll clamp everything down in a little bit. Okay, so interestingly enough, I've just encountered an issue. These parts are hitting and it's not going in all the way. Oh, that would be why. Dun, dun, dun. Look at the actual screen loop. You see what I was doing, right? I was putting it at the top instead of at the front. So top, bottom. Couple in here at the bottom. Just going to go ahead and move those towards the center some. Put a couple in at the top. Okay. So this side, this side. Yay. Now we're going to take the nuts and push them into place. And our top are M3 by 8. Look at you gambling like fiends. Give you guys a little bit of money, and or not money, but a little bit of coinage, and you guys go crazy. There you go, Ramon. You got your 6666. Okay, and we want these to be a little bit loose, so you can go ahead and tighten them down and then let them back off some, because we're going to need to center it on our gantry, or the gantry on our printer once we get it there. So we're just going to get these snugged and then back them off a little bit. Mark of the Beast is 616. And pushed in place. Okay, so we've got the two top ones on, and they're not fully tightened, and it says do not tighten fully at this point. Now we're going to use one M3 by 20 and one M3 nut to attach it from the bottom. So we need M3 by 20 for these bottom screws. M3 by 20. Pocket head. Okay, there we go. Now this is where it'll be a little more fun, because we've got to line this up. We don't have the ability to really, I guess we might with this smaller one. Once again, we'll go down until we feel it tighten and then back it off some, so that this piece is still, didn't want it to be that loose. We wanted it loose, but not loose to the point where it comes off. So that's kind of a bad on me. But you get my point. We want it to be able to rotate on here. Not rotate, but be able to slide a little bit so that we can adjust it. So I guess what I'm going to do is tighten this down a little bit more with the appropriate one. Just to make it a little bit tighter. Okay. There's our gantry. Now we're going to install it with 4 M2 by 12 screws on each side. And how I'm going to do this, I'm going to bring you guys back up here. We're going to bring the printer back up. I'm just going to flip it over. Because this should make it easier to get my gantry put on there. So front of the printer, our piece needs to be towards the front. We're going to flip it over like that. We'll just set it down on the carriages. Like I said, our rail needs to be facing the front of the printer. We'll set this on our carriage and we'll get it lined up, and we'll need our M2 by 12 screws. And these are socket heads. I'm going to try and find one. Try and find the hole on one, and then we'll start getting these locked in there. So we'll do one, and then we'll do this side in or the outside in the front, the inside edge in the back, and that will give us the crossing pattern to start with. Then we'll come over and do the same thing on this side, and we're trying to hold our carriage fully forward when we do this. And this is why you need your rail pieces to be loose, is so you can move your carriages side to side to get your holes lined up. Okay, Mod Light. Okay. Hey, Aaron, how's it going? So we've got the first 4 in there. Now we're going to do the rest. And once again, what we're going to do is I'm going to hold this forward up against the bump stops. You can do it either way, either up against the front or the back. And we'll do both, but holding them towards the front and the bunt stops. And like I said, I'm not cranking down these yet. I'm just getting them all set in there. And this is how we're going to keep our gantry initially square. Okay. It says do not tighten fully. Keep for the right. Attach the assembly to the rail. Make sure the movement is smooth. So at this point, I'm going to remove the rear bump stops because we do have it up against the motor mounts in the back. I'm going to make sure that it's moving front to back fully with no issues, and it is. Now's the time to fix it. If you're getting any crunching or it feels like it binds anywhere along the rails, my suggestion, undo or loosen one side, leave the other side locked down. What's happening is they're at a slight angle from one another. So leave one side fully tightened down, loosen the other side up, and move your gantry back and forth. And it'll move freely because one side's loose and can move around. And then what you'll do is you'll move your carriage right up close. You'll lock this screw down. You'll keep going back and forth, come up to the next one, lock that one down. And you just keep working it back and forth, and that's how you'll get your gantry nice and smooth. But now that we have everything here, at this point, slide the X forward and back by hand. Ensure the movement is smooth with no rust spots or tension. Ensure the rail meets the front rail stop on both sides. There's no binding. Make sure the Y rails are parallel and centered, which we were just talking about. Now it says to tighten all of the screws. We're going to go through and tighten all of our screws. What am I doing? Tightening all my carriage truck screws. So how's it going, Aaron? I'm really liking the Pandoras, but man, that frame was looking pretty intense. Okay, still moving good. Now we're going to move on and we're going to lock down the M3 by 20s. Once again, holding everything forward. Flip it over. Once again, front to back still, because we still haven't locked down the tops. And I noticed that there's a gap back here. So I'm going to loosen this back up. It's fitting in the front, but there was a gap on one side in the back. So once again, with them loose, you can expand them out. You can push them in, but you want to make sure that they are both like fully locked back when you start locking these down. Hey, babe, that was the issue. So, note to self. Note to self. I was about to make a big mistake and actually wrap my frame, and I'll show you what I mean. Give me 1 second, move some things out of the way and around. Okay, let's see if we can see this. So I go forward, and we're at the bump stops, and everything's lined up. Both of them are at the bump stops. Slide it back. This side hits. So this side, I'm up against the bracket back here, and I looked and I said, "Oh, this isn't flush." Nor will it be, because this end stop sits proud of this actual motor mount. So if I were to try and push it like this, fully back, and then crank down, I've just put a rack. My gantry is not square anymore. So when you lock this in, push it all the way forward, right? Make sure, I'm going to get it all the way forward. I'm going to look at my rail and make sure that the gap on each side is even. Now I'm going to lock these top screws down. I'm going to grab the bottom ones. There we go. So now I'm going to bring it back. It's going to hit this side. I'm going to have a little bit of a gap, but that's okay. If anything, what I want to do is check the gap between both sides. I'm not going to be super duper precise, but I'm just going to go here. .22 millimeters. 22 millimeters. So I'm good. And I've got the same gap between these two rails right here, which is what I need. Okay. And that still moves super nice. So I'm going to say that we're good there. Get some of this stuff put away. Figure out what I was shoving around here. Oh, great. Yep, KB3D Chris is here. He's my mod. Him and Modlight are the mods on my channel. I think Evil Diesel might be as well if he's around. Actually, he's not around. I know he went and needed to lay down. So we've got this. It's smooth and we are not racked. And that's the end of this section. So we'll do the back arrow. And what's up next? Um, so it says the bed is up next. Where are we at? We're up there. We've got time, yeah. So let's go ahead and set this down on the ground, and we will grab our bed pieces. We have a Mike 6 bed, the heater. Here's our magnet and our build surface, which is double-sided textured plate. That is an oversized magnet, so we'll be cutting that to length, size. Hey, thanks for the follow, mechanical wire. Thank you so much. That baggie aside. I'm going to continue to use this just as a surface for the time being, because when we go to mount our pieces, I want to make sure I'm not pushing anything. Need to identify which side is your top and your bottom. So your top side is going to have the countersunk holes. And once again, this is made to go for either a micron or a salad fork, aka a 2.4 or a trident. This will be the top side because it's got the counter bores. Your tops of your screws will sit underneath the top of the bed. We're going to take this and let's see what we start with first. Attach the heater to the bottom of the bed. Yeah, no. We're going to attach our magnet first. So I always start off attaching the magnet first because that allows me to put my magnet on and apply pressure so that the adhesive activates without putting pressure on a glass bead thermistor that's in the bottom of this. So that way I'll have the magnet on, we'll flip it over, then we'll put this on, right? And we can put pressure minding our thermistor and our thermistor, and this is the thermal fuse. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, folks. So we'll start at the top. We'll put our magnet on, we'll clear out our holes, and then we'll go through and do the rest. And once again, this magnet is oversized compared to the build plate. So it will go over the edges. And I'm going to line it up with the back edge. And then we'll go through and cut around the edge after we get this installed. And to start with, we're going to clean our surface since I've been putting my fingers all over it. Make sure that we've got a nice clean surface for the adhesive to stick to. Yep. Always try and do a crossing pattern. It always helps keep things from getting cattywampus on you. I tell you, this black anodized aluminum is pretty cool looking. Like and because it's been anodized, that means it's been cleaned beforehand. Now you guys saw me clean Chewy's bed and how much stuff came off of that, bare aluminum. So that's pretty good. Let that flash for a second. And the standard procedure will peel off a bit. Once again, we're going to set it down there, make sure that we've got an overhang on each side. We're going to line it up with the back edge. and press it down. Just pull the paper off and continue to press it down forward from the inside to the outer edge, trying to keep from getting any air bubbles in here. Sure, this doesn't help with the bowing of my table any. But then we will get a sharp blade and we will trim this edge around. So you can see we've got plenty of extra magnet there. We're just going to trim that edge. And please be careful. You're going to see me move the knife towards me. Don't be like me. You should be going and cutting away from your body. But get your knife and just go right down the side of your aluminum plate. Just like that, and you'll get a nice clean edge. Don't worry about your your rounded corners just yet. You can get all fancy later on. Just get the bulk off. Be careful when you're going against the screw holes. Drift towards the end there. It definitely helps to have a sharp blade. That's why you saw that I changed from the yellow one to the black one, because I know that this is a sharper blade. That one went all cattywampus. And I noticed in the back I had a little bit of an angle, so we'll come in and clean that up. And just like that, you've got your edge to edge magnet on there. Like I said, if you want to, you can come in and gently round over the edge ever so slightly. Be careful. You don't want to leave a part of yourself on here. Okay. And then the next thing that we're going to need to do, and this is something that I do, is I'm going to grab my drill bit and my reamer. So I'm going to use my 3mm drill bit because we use a 3mm screw. We're going to go through the front side, or excuse me, through the bottom side, and we're going to go through these holes here. And the goal here is to drill through the magnet and not our hand. So I'm going to go through this hole here. I'm putting my fingers on either side just to hold that magnet because we just put the magnet on here. I don't want it popping back off. And we're just going to pulse the drill. Right? We've gone through. I'm going to do that at all the points. All 3 points. If we were doing a 2.4, we'd be just cutting out the slots. So if we were doing the 2.4, we would just be simply coming in here and cutting out the slots. But because we're doing the trident, we need to do these 3 holes. And what these 3 holes are going to do is allow me to center my reamer. And I'm going to use a 6mm reamer to clear out the hole. And because the reamer does so with the drill, you can always cut into metal and you can always, you trying to steal points from Chris? What I'm trying to do is keep the hole nice and clean and centered. And by using a reamer, you get a perfectly round hole and it just it's just a little bit nicer look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and center my reamer on that drilled hole, give it a little push, and just pulse again. And you'll feel it break through. You might need to take your tweezers to clear it out some. Want to clear out any of the little bits out. But you get a nice clean hole that your screw cap will go, or the head of your screw will go into. And as you can see, it really doesn't take much, but it just gives you a nice, neat finish. And your reamer is not going to enlarge the hole or tear the hole up. See, nice clean hole, and the head of your bolt will go in there. Now we got that done, let's clean up this mess. Put the reamers away and the drills away. Now we're going to come back up here to the back side. So once again, magnet side, back side. We're going to clean this off, and then we'll adhere our heater. That flash off and dry up. Hey, Eagle Brett, welcome on in. Welcome on in. And then we need to attach our heater. It does talk about using RTV silicone. This looks very close to an edge-to-edge heater, so you wouldn't want to try and put silicone on the edge. But we will get this installed. And I think I'm going to start at the front edge, kind of like what we did the last time. Start at the back edge last time. We're going to start from the front this time, because that's the more complicated side, and the side that we want to have probably the cleanest look on, because it'll be the more visible. Try not to touch the adhesive on here. Get it peeled back some. Get it lined up, letting that that paper kind of hold it up at the front. Get it lined up side to side and holding your fingers in the back. Just work your way forward. Go slow, get it pressed on there. Just like before, pull the paper and press down. Being careful right here, because once again, this is a glass thermistor, and then you've got your ceramic fuse there. So as you pull this back, just kind of work from the inside out and be careful that you're not pushing directly on that thermistor or the fuse. Because the last thing you want to do is go through and be installing this, and then you go to bring it active, and you get no temperature reading or very, very poor temperature readings, and realize that you have crushed this glass bead thermistor, and now you've got to figure out how to peel all this up, clean all the adhesive, and get a new heating element. If you're like Steve Builds, he has one of the rollers, like a floor or tile roller, like you would use for like laying linoleum. Once again, just be careful going right around these areas. Normally what I would do is get everything installed like this and set it down on there, put boxes on either side of this, and then add more boxes on top of it and let it sit for a couple of days. And that just ensures a really good bond, but this 3M adhesive is really, really good. I haven't had any problems with it. And quite honestly, the thermal fuse, once again, if this thermal fuse ever blows, it's I mean, in this case, I think if that thermal fuse right there goes, you are taking this piece off. But if you don't have a thermal fuse in there and you have it in line like you would normally put one in, you could just snip it out and put in a new thermal fuse. And I did have to do that on my V0 because I had a fuse that just crashed over time of so many heat cycles. So they do wear out apparently. Okay, now we're going to possibly keep that. I had a mailer I can use for something else later on. Don't know who that was. Now we're going to attach the bed. We're going to use 3 M4 knurled nuts and 3 M3 by 16 socket head cap screws. So we need our knurled nuts, of which we've got 5. I don't know why we have 5. I think I now have like 20 of these extra. We need M3 by 16 socket head cap screws. M3 washers. Yes, if need be, if the too much room. We'll bring this back up. Now I've got the spacers in here still, and I'm just going to move them all the way down to the second hole. And the reason I'm doing this is for none other than just trying to keep everything aligned. Because this way I can get all 3 screws at the same point. Yeah, just for kind of alignment purposes. We'll move them out of there later on. Or I'll forget and then try and figure out like why it's not homing right. Not that I've ever done that before. We'll get our screws out here so we can work with them. We'll need our 3 by 16 screws placed in here. And they're going to go left. And it's just going to be a matter of trying to get everything lined up. Front to back, side to side. And knurled nut. What I'm doing right now is just looking at rough spacing. He's in the front. Might be so much easier without the wires. Now let's see how close we were getting these lined up, keeping them lined. It doesn't feel like it's. Yep, neither one of those are lined. Let's try and get these one at a time lined. That one's in. Oh, we got two. Now let's see if we can get the third one lined up. That is lined up. I break. Seriously, come on. Hey, we got it. All right. So we've got all three in there. Not 100% tacked down just yet. Okay. Those are locked down. I'd say tighten them all the way, right? Attach the Z end stop. We are not going to attach the Z end stop because we are going to go with boop on this. So we're not going to build our little baby flex bolt and attach that, which we normally go on this side over here. Route the wiring and attach the cable chain. Darn, that sucks. Now I'm probably going to have to run everything back up to the top to make it easier to do the cable chain. Fairly close. Okay, so cable chain is going to go back here on this side and cable chain. You know, we're going to hold off on the cable chain because I need to find my cable chain. I do not have, well, the kit did not come with cable chain. So we're going to, actually, give me 1 second. I might have it. It would be 10 by 10, right? Or is it smaller? 10 by 10 or smaller for the V0? Yeah. It just mentions the cable chain, but it doesn't talk about the size of it. Yes, 491 Phantom. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're working on the salad fork build, which is basically a shrunken down trident that uses 1515 rails. This is bigger than a V0, but it uses the 1515 extrusions. Okay. And then on Saturdays, we're working on the 2.4 build for Chewy. And this Saturday, however, we will not be streaming because I will be out of town attending a funeral. Let's see if it's 10 by 10. If it's 10 by 10, I don't have ends, so that's not going to matter regardless. And I can't remember if it's 10 by 10 or not. I will have to procure some the appropriate size of cable chain stuff. That's what I'm trying to think of. I will I will have to obtain some. Oh, thanks, Phantom. Yeah, we'll work on the cable chain next stream. We should be able to do the other stuff, which in this case is start. I believe the next part is belts. We'll have to come back to the cable chain. Yep, next part will be belts. And we'll have the A and B. So yeah, so the way they're going to talk to us about doing the belts, they'll have us route the belt and then use that to set the length, pull it back out, and cut both both pieces of belt to the same length. That out of the way, that out of the way. This over there so I don't knock it over because I can probably see myself doing that. Now we've got our belt. So that to the pile. And let us see. Route the belt is shown in the image. The exact length is not critical at this step, but make sure there's at least a few extra centimeters to get us around there. And basically, we're going to go from here around the back, little jog, up to the front, around, and over. We're going to go just randomly about there. I've got plenty of belt. I'm not that worried. We're just doing some rough look right now. I know I'll have extra. We're going to cut in the valley between two threads. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the other end of the belt and just drop it on the ground, which is probably hard to see. Do this. So this is my cut length. This is the other length. Once again, all I did was basically I went around the outside of the printer. Sorry. Lined it up with the carriage, kind of did a side loop, went around to the front, the back, around, made sure it overlapped a bit, and that's going to be good enough. This is going to give me enough length to work with. Now, I took the other length of belt, which is a lot longer. I'm going to start off with this. What do you think? This, which is the one I just kind of cut to the pre-made length. We're going to start off with this higher. So the V and the spare, or the rest of the belt, is going to start at the V and the other one. We're just going to interlock them like this. And then we're just going to move through them, pulling them together, keeping them together. And when we get to the end, that first valley that we see is where we're going to snip. And what that tells me is now my two lengths are the same size. And then here's the excess belt, which is probably enough to run another one if I needed to. So we'll just take the spare and roll it up and put it over here in our, somewhere I've got a pile of excess GT6 belt that I can use to build a bunch more little printers. And I mean, you could just take this whole length, cut it in half, but if you do that, you're going to waste a lot of belt material. And like I said, that's enough belt that you could completely replace one of these easily. So you definitely don't want to throw it away unless you have no other choice. Okay. Now, because we're going with boot, we've got a different carriage that we're going to have to use. But what we're going to do is just get our belt started and get it, kind of generically run. Then we'll grab our X carriage and put it in place. So we're going to add the A belt. So it goes to the A. Well, this is the A motor. This is the B motor. Apparently, it tells us to run it. Oh, there he is. Re-add the belt with the same routing as before. We're going to grab one of our belts. And just for our OCD-ness, if you've got any wording, just make sure it's facing up so you can read it. Don't know why. And here's the other critical thing that I'll say kind of matters. Your motor. The teeth have to go around the motor pulley. So I sort of always start there. So I'm going to take this, and I need to get around this motor pulley. I'm going to start at the motor pulley. And work my belt around that motor pulley. Obviously, I'd like to get started. And you may have to use one of your things to just get the belt to kind of feed around the pulley. And so I'm going in through this gap to help it around the pulley. And that's why they have a lot of the gaps in here, so you're able to get around this pulley. So as you can see, I'm on the bottom edges here. I'm going to work it in this gap. Got to pull it through the gap here. Once again, I'm just going to hold this kind of in place, pull it forward. Remember, this is where I said I didn't want to put these in all the way and lock them in, because now we've got to go around these, and I'm pretty sure that, yeah, I'm going to try and push it in there, and it's not going to come through and line up. So we'll just take a little flat screwdriver, pull this out, wrap this around our pulley, push it through the hole in the back there, line this up, and just pull it through. And like that, life became easy. Get this last one around the bottom pulley here. Now it can go on this side, which is literally around the bottom pulley. Come forward through our gap between the extrusion and our side over here. Feed it through, drops down, lines back up. Pulley did not. Here we go. So there is our belt, and as you can see here, I'm going to have plenty of overlap with my belt when I go to set my carriage. So I just want to make sure that everything's lined up on my bearings, and then we'll go through and we'll work the other side. Once again, if there's any writing on it, I'm just going to make sure it's up, which this belt has no writing on it, which is even better. And we're going to start off with this pulley, knowing that our teeth go around the pulley. So we're going to start by coming in this way to the pulley. We might need to use something to help it around the pulley at this very first stage, especially since there's an end stop on this one. I wonder, it might be a little bit easier to start it this way. Just got to be careful of the wires end stop that we don't bust those. Push this belt through. So on this side, it's going to come across the top, going to the gap, and then around the pulley up here. This side is going to go through the front pulley. This one might be a little bit harder to get through here. There we go. Worry about making sure that all those are in line as we get these lined up. I guess I could do it the easy way. Belt through, right around our idler. It is going on the smooth side of the belt through the idler. Make sure it feeds back through the slot in the back side of this piece here. You want to hold this as we pull this tight and pull that idler down in there. Route this around the last pulley. And just like that, our 2 sets of belts are in there. And we'll need to, we'll work on getting them lined up and all that goodness once we start to set up our boop. So in order to do boop, we need to work boop compatibility. You guys can't see what I'm doing. So for the boop compatibility, we're using beta 4, which are the parts that I printed, but I don't think I have them all because I don't believe I have the pieces that the magnets go here. So we will have to build our boop somewhat. And you print out all the parts and then you basically follow the tap build. So yeah, making some progress. We got our our bed on. We got our bottom panel on, our bed on. We got our gantry built. We just ran our belts, so they're loosely routed, and we need to start building our boop up so that we can start putting this together. And I think we just need to follow the Voron TAP build manual. For whatever reason, like I said, I think if I've got the magnet carriers, I may not have them right here with me or in a bag somewhere. We will have to look at that. And I believe, like I said, that we're going to follow the actual tap build instruction. Yeah. Just take a look at the Voron TAP build manual. I don't know why you wouldn't be able to just increase the XY. Now, Ramon, what I would say is uncheck the box that does everything symmetrically. And then if you wanted to like double the X and double the Y, double the X and double the Y, but don't double the Z because doubling the Z will impede the transparency of the layers and change the colors that you, but changing the X and Y dimension to make it, from a 120 to a 240 for a larger bed, I think there would be no problem there. I don't know why there would be. Like I said, just don't change the Z height because that will change your colors. Okay, so assembly manual for the tap. Just a few things we're gonna have to work through. And a few parts that'll be different. So full frame, optical sensor, center pin, side view of how it works, options, data, there we go, build. And so my understanding is that this uses the same parts as the main tap. So I have a tap kit here, and we're going to use that. And so we're going to do a little bit of lubing, Liz. We are going to get some lubing because this rail has not been lubricated, so we're going to have to do that. At least I do not believe it has been an LDO rail, because this is an LDO kit that I'm going from. They do provide the plastic piece that you can use to run your carriage off. And all you do is you line it up and run the carriage from the metal rail onto the plastic rail, just like that. And once again, I'm going to take a quick look here, and it is dry, so we will need to lubricate this. I'll have this rail that, oh, cute, such a cute little rail. Lube alert, yep. Okay, what are we talking about? Soldering iron, angle grinder, Dremel, vise. Holy crap. I guess that's talking about making your own guide. Carefully remove the carriage. We did that. Mark the edge. We're good. We're there. Remove the supports. Yep. We've got supports removed. Already removed the supports from there. Do the magnets. Like I said, I'm not sure. I do not remember seeing the magnet carriers. Either I dumped them in a bag and didn't realize I dumped them in a bag. So far, that's a nope. Not in that one. And not in that one. So I have a feeling. I have a feeling that I did not do the magnet carriers. So I'm going to have to work on that off stream. I don't think we need those to be in place in order to mount the um, thing. We'll need to know which one of these fits the, really? Fits the sensor that came in this kit. So I did print out both parts. I'm just trying to figure out which one it'll fit. So it's this one. The only real difference is this has the cutout that should let it sit down in there a little bit further, but not the right size, so it doesn't sit down in there proper. Or on the other one, does. We'll go with this piece. Which is great because it happens to be the one that I have not fully pulled the brim off of. Always nice. Brim off real fast. Clean up the edge a little bit with the file. So you do want to make sure that your edges on, especially these parts, are really nice and crisp and clean. Because of the way this sensor works. This is actually the front mounting plate. This is this piece. This is going to be that piece. Okay. So we need to go. Looking at this, I don't think we'll have to. We won't need those heat stud inserts. We will need to do the 2 heat set inserts here on the back of this piece. Oh, 2 heat sets here. Now we'll have to fumble along in this a little bit. Probably be good if I had like the CAD pulled up, but I do not have CAD on this on my streaming computer. So Set that down for a second. We will grab our lube supplies because I know we will need to do that. We are going to get our heat set press up here. Plugged in and turned on. Yes, like standard, we're going to need 2 of them back here, 2 of them at the angle here, and I believe 2 right there from the looks of it. So we'll get our heat sets going. If I wind up putting heat sets in the wrong place, I guess we will redo. Wouldn't be the first time I've reprinted parts for a build. And if anybody has boop experience, please, by all means, jump in. Hey, Poity, how's it going? Memory serves me, these 2 get put in a little bit deeper. Got those 2. Whoops. These in. Hey, thanks for the subscribe, Poity. Actually, for Chris, for gifting a tier 1 sub to Poity. Like I said, if anybody in here has boop experience and I'm about to screw something up, please jump in. Let me know. Like I said, if not, well, that's what we have printers for. We can always reprint. Always reprint. We have the technology. Okay. Playing hardcore classic. Wow, awesome. And said these like are going to be heat set inserts and they're going to be a weird angle. So let's see if I can burn myself. Okay, so you print them in SACF. Okay. I'm just sitting here looking at the instructions going, I don't necessarily, well, one, there's no technical boop instructions. It's kind of everything about tap applies, except that tap tap and boop are functionally the same, but doesn't mean they get built the same way per se, especially with the top piece. So we'll see. We'll try and make it work, and if it doesn't, then we'll try again. Because that's what we do. And really, like I said, that's the only one I'm a little worried about, but we'll see. We'll give it a try. We'll figure boop out together. Straightforward once you look at it. Okay. And like I said, I don't have the carriers apparently for whatever reason. I didn't print those out. So I will have to print those out off stream. So we've got these two. Really think these probably need to go deeper. So let's give her another go and just push these a little bit deeper. Go a little deeper. Don't be shy. Guess that's about as far in as they're going to go without applying some force. So, and I have a feeling I'm going to have to clean some plastic out of these. So, you just grab an M3 screw and go through the thread. Yeah, they look pretty much like the standard. I just don't have those printed out. So, unless I'm willing to tear the 2.4 apart right now, which I'm not, I'm going to have to, I'll have to print those and we'll get it going on the next stream. But I don't think I need them in order to get the belts put in place. And all I'm doing is running a screw through the heat set insert, not through the plastic, then into the heat set. From the heat set insert through the plastic. And what that's doing is pushing that core of plastic that you see right there out. If I would have tried to go from the plastic side and mount the rail through that, I would have wound up stripping out the part or stripping out the either busting the bolt, or if I got the plastic in there, I would have rotated this free and would have been reprinting a part. So yep. And this is just standard ABS for both of these. The purple is Polymaker Galaxy Purple. The orange is Alpha Fusion Filaments Alpha Particle Orange. So we need to put an M3 nut in the back there. You'll have all the fasteners in your, I should have all the fasteners I need in this LVO tap kit. Hey, look, more heat set inserts. Washers. And there's the M3 hex. How's it going, Darth Gollum? Hope you are doing well tonight. And that fits in there nice. Like I said, these may not be fully where I need them to be. Keep remembering that these were pushed down really deep, but this printed part seems to be like, I'll say, giving it back to me, so to speak. There's a lot of resistance there, and I don't really want to push for the, push real hard to bury those in there. If anything, I'll just run a little bit longer screw. Okay, so we got that. What else do we? Oh yeah, getting the right ratio always helps. All right, and let me. I just want to take a quick look at this and just make sure I really do have all of the parts. I like that. Okay, yeah, because they use the hex, so you can put little screws in there, or you can shove your magnets in there if you want to do separate magnets. That's going to go there. This goes at the top. Still sort of orientate things go. Is there a cat? Is let me see if if I can pull the cat up over. Getting Fusion Special. Almost 850. Yes, it is, Miss Dragon. Thank you. Thank you for the heads up, Miss Dragon. So at 9, we're going to jump over to Creatix Brit because she has got an Derek from VanOaks on VanOaks Props on her channel. Exactly, Nick. And everybody needs coffee. Yep. And I'm going to have to try and pull up Fusion 360 and get logged in, do my multi-factor authentication and all that, and then look at um the CAD so that I can try and figure out the boop and see if there's anything else that I don't have printed out and get that printed out. And we'll come back on Thursday and we'll continue with trying to put boop together and get it installed on the printer. Because For some reason, I'm thinking that I may still have a part that's not printed out other than just the two magnet carriers. Okay, Monlight, definitely. Thank you for being out here and for modding. You're an awesome mod. Thank you. Yep, and I'll go on there just like that. Like I said, we're gonna have to figure this out. Um, logged into Fusion. Factor authentication code. Great, I have two different accounts under two different emails. So we get to figure out which one it is. And we picked right the first time. Time for everything, apparently. Sorry about that. I will mod light. I'll take a look at it after stream tonight while I'm watching Brett and VanOaks. Oh yeah, Fusion always slows my laptop. Fusion file open. Okay, that makes a little more sense. I was trying to figure out how this fits on, and it's going to fit on. It fits on like that, which makes more sense to me. That makes a lot more sense because you're going to have your two in the front and one in the back attachment for your tool head. Okay. Now I see. Now I see. That makes all kinds of sense. Like I said, as soon as you see it, you're like, oh, okay. So basically, we're going to install these, which would be the M3 by 20s. That might be way too long, but M3 by 20. Yeah, it'll pop out a little bit. We could probably do M3 by 16s and it'd be good, but let me see what boot. M3 by 16s. So see, I looked at it, my brain was like, yep, it's M3 by 16. I'll put those back up for now, which means we may have to do some adjusting. But this is a full bore or full size tap kit, not a boop tap kit, because to my knowledge, there is no boop tap kit yet. Boop, boop, beep, doop. Yep. And once again, get this tight, but don't crank it too much, because if you do, you could break these loose, the heat set inserts, and once they start spinning, you're done for. So we got those two there, and once again, the self burner tool head's going to mount in these two, and then there'll be one that'll come in from the back that'll mount on the other ones. That makes a whole hell of a lot more sense there. Gotcha. Okay. Standoffs. Mount your PCB. B would be mounted with 3x8. Mount it like that. Going to block that one. Almost got to mount it like, run into any problems mounting it like, hold off on mounting that just yet. This is where it talks about putting M3 by 6 screws in here. Aaron, did you use magnets or screws? Like, did you double up on the magnets, or did you use magnets on one side and screws on the other? So I'm not sure if you'll be able to tell, but that says that that's a six, that those are two 6-3 magnets. I'm going to say that's a 6-3 on one side and a 6-2 on the other. They are definitely not the same thickness. I think we will be swapping out a magnet at the very least. And really, these need to go in this side. The newer kits came with magnets on. Well, you could do magnets on both sides, or you can do magnet and the flathead screw. I think we're going to do flatheads. And we're almost there. I'm looking, as soon as I see Creatrix Brick go live, we're going to jump over. I'm just kind of piddling a bit, but I have figured out, I think it has now come. So this is an angle, so you need to make sure that you get that angle right, and you're threading into plastic. But once again, don't swing for the fences, and you just want it flush with the part. And they do, I mean, they are hexagon shaped, and you can put magnets in both sides of these. I only did one set of magnets, but I can see where two sets could be beneficial. Yeah, I mean, even on my regular one, I only used magnets on one side, and by the regular one, I mean the standard Rev 8 tap that's in my Voron 2.4 that I'm getting ready to pull off and put in a Chewy's box and put a CNC tap in mine. Okay, so we've got those going. We don't need these because this would be for mounting the tool head. Now it calls for installing our magnet holders, and the magnet carriers will have magnets and heat set inserts in them so that we can attach them from the sides. Once we do that, I believe at that point we'll be ready to mount the rail. Mount the end stop, which we'll have to create an end stop. And then we can start routing the belts. Alexa, stop. Thanks, Mrs. Dragon. So I'm going to print these parts that I'm missing. And Thursday, we will come back to this. I haven't seen a notification. The Western 1 went live, but I don't see. Oh, yeah, I don't know. Can anybody tell me is Creamsicle live yet? If not, we'll keep going for a short bit until she has come live. Here yet. Okay. Use screws and mag. Okay, so you use the screws on the one part and the two mag carriers in the standard part. I just be afraid of using two magnets, especially on a boot because the tool head is so light. Or a boot, yeah, the boot because the tool head is going to be light. Oh, not a problem, Aaron. Not a problem. I get that. Um, yeah. So I will lubricate this while I'm watching Brit stream. So we'll make sure that this is lubricated. I'll get these parts printing, and yeah, we'll just keep going, and we'll keep going on Thursday. So we'll get the belts run Thursday. We'll get Boop installed Thursday, and that means Thursday we'll also be putting together our tool head, our mini self burner. Yeah, so I've got the flathead cap screws in here, and it was weird. My magnets, the magnets that came in the LDO kit, because this is the LDO um, cap kit, it had a 6x3 and a 6x2 magnet instead of two 6x3s. So I grabbed a spare 6x3 that I had just sitting here to the front. So I'll have two 6x3 magnets. The boop, the connector bolts here that connect the top and the bottom or the front are M3 by 16, not M3 by 20. We had 16s in the kit that I don't think we're using anyhow. I need to get these printed and installed. We could probably go ahead and install this. Good. So we've got a M3x6 socket head at the top. Six, an 8, and a 12. Six, 8. And yeah, not making it. That's what I had a feeling is I was trying to push the heat sets down in there, and they just weren't feeling like they were getting in there. And I just confirmed that, yeah, they're not down there far enough. So we're going to have to, now that I got some of that excess plastic out of there, I might be able to push it down a little bit farther. The good news is it takes like 3 seconds for this thing to heat up. So he's starting. Okay, Mrs. Dragon, thank you. See, she is all about keeping me on track tonight. So Britt is starting, and we will be going to raid over to her. Let me see if I can't get these pushed down a little bit more. A lot better. Put this down and let it cool off. And with that, folks, now that Creatix Brit is starting, let me stop that, start this. Miss Dragon said she was starting, but which not telling. He has just started, so let's jump over there. Thank you, everybody. I'm liking the stealth press. Let's raid Creatix Brit. All right. Thanks everybody for being here. We will be back Thursday and continue. I will make sure that my stuff's ready to go so that we can get going on this build. And let's jump over and listen to Creatix Brit and VanOaks props. Thanks everybody for being here. See you later.